Welcome back to Guest Talk Podcast, where we talk about everything from faith, spirituality, relationships, world news, and so much more. This is episode 4 of the introduction series. This is the end of it, I guess. It's not the finale. We'll have another episode of all 9 of us together, but that'll be during the holiday season, more than likely. But this will be the last episode of our introduction series until the finale. So yeah, we're just gonna get right into it, and we have my mom answering our questions behind the camera. So,
hey y'all, hey.
You can start.
Okay, so but we want to also mention because we're going to be bringing other episodes of family members.
Yeah, for sure. Look out for all the new content that's coming.
Yes. So we're super excited for that because we're going to Philly next, right? We're going to Philly next to interview a few family members. So I'm super excited for that. But okay, well, let me go start asking questions. Okay, so let's start with Malachi. Who are you, and what order do you fall in the family?
So I am the youngest of the 9.
Okay.
Who are you?
Who are you?
I say your name.
I'm sorry. Who are you, and where do you fall in the family?
I'm the 9th, the youngest, and I am Malachi.
Okay.
And I guess I'll go next.
Yes,
I'm
Jubilee.
Dominique, but everybody calls me Jubilee, so I'm Jubilee, and I am the 8th child in the family.
Yep, and I'm Nicole, who has been interviewing everybody. So you've seen me plenty of times already. But I am number 7.
But it's different, right? Because you're on the other end now, right? I think
getting
that's really cool. So yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So okay, let's start with Malachi since he's young. You want to start with Malachi
That's
first?
however you want to, yeah.
Okay. What is your perspective, Malachi, on life growing up in a Christian household?
I feel like it's always been very interesting for me, like just the Bible studies we would have together, like getting woken up and like come downstairs, we're having prayer, like it was always just like, oh okay, down there just. So it was fun. It was nice. I feel like it was very important for me, like a very structural part of my life, because it's where I feel like where most of my morality is built and most of my values is. So I feel like that's a really important aspect for me. It's also shaped. It helped me in finding God for myself and finding Jesus for myself, and like. Yeah, I would say that would have to be my answer.
So I think that you could expand a little more, like literally talking, like give them
Some examples,
like
some
examples
memories
of like
things
memories.
that
Yeah,
you
right.
remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like there's times like I feel like in some cases I feel like even like something that was a small thing was like with Conrad. If you don't know Conrad, he was my stepdad growing up. Something he did with me a lot was where he would like play with me and he would do this thing we called the claw, where he would be like trying to grab my face with his hand and he would always overpower me, but he would tell me that the only way to overpower the claw is by speaking against it with the word, like saying like in Jesus' name. And in that he was instilling in me that using God's in Jesus' name is where the power lies, not in your physical self. So I'm like not in myself is the power, but in Jesus.
Wow, I never knew that.
So,
wow.
Like that was I feel like that was a really cool thing that he did with me. I feel like that's something I would definitely probably do with even my own kids.
Wow.
When I have kids.
You ain't had no kids. Okay, Jubilee, the same question for you.
I feel like for me, of course it was, growing up in a Christian household, it was, it was fun. Like honestly, like I feel like I realized as I grew older that, that people around us were not, how do I say this? It's like, so like the morals I guess that we had, like I don't know, I feel like my mommy and like even daddy, but I guess like because I was very young when daddy died, and so it's like I would have to say mommy more so instilled in us these, like I was saying, morals and this perspective on life that I guess wasn't exactly normal, considered like the way that people around us, I feel like, it made me realize that they
Everybody didn't live like you. Yeah. Everybody didn't. Yeah.
Like, so I feel like that alone was how, I guess, it was for me growing up in a Christian household. Like, it was just that mommy made sure that we really didn't live like the world, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And it's because I feel like she always pushed us to have our own relationship with God and really serve God for ourselves. Like, she didn't want us to just serve God because she was serving God. And so I feel like because she made that so important for us, that I didn't realize that like, I don't know, like, it's just in the perspective, I guess, of those around me that were living in the world, like, that because mommy had like ingrained that in us, like, and instilled that in us from such a young age, that like that in and of itself was our normal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, for me, I just feel like it was definitely I don't know how to explain it.
I guess because you don't have nothing else to compare it with,
Right. It's like,
because that was your life,
right.
And so that was your reality. That was life for you.
Right.
So you wasn't. So when you met other people
Yeah.
that lived differently,
It was just like
it
crazy
was,
to me.
Yeah.
Because like, I only knew God, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like when I got to an age to really understand, like, and really like come to have a relationship with Him, it was like, it was, I guess, more easy to get into that relationship with Him, because it's like I only knew Him.
Okay, I get
From when I was, since
younger,
I was,
like, okay.
Like,
So it's basically we told him about you,
right.
about him, but as you got older, you
Right.
got to know him for yourself,
Exactly.
and not just off of what we told you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is that a good? More?
I mean, I guess that's because I don't really know.
Okay, Nicole, same question for
What's
you.
the question again?
What was it like growing up in a Christian household for you?
Like, I guess what everyone else says, kind of like you didn't really know nothing else besides that.
Okay.
So it was our normal, going to church all the time.
But y'all always had friends,
Yeah,
y'all always had
but
friends
like,
over.
Yeah, we had
They would
friends
sit
over,
at
but
y'all
our
Bible
friends-
studies
that's
with
what-
y'all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, our friends
They never. I think that your friends never treated y'all like y'all were
weird,
different or weird.
different. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They were, but
So
they
that-
were
that's-
intrigued and interested in what life was like for you guys. That they
Right.
were like, whoa, and they would come and sit and so.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was
That's
just.
that's what I feel like I was referring to, though. Like with the Bible studies and everything, it definitely was.
Yeah, you can get your turn.
I was doing this. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
ahead.
I said I'm
But
gonna
yeah.
behave myself. I was gonna behave myself. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it was normal, I guess. I didn't see it as anything not normal, even with our friends being around.
Yeah.
Like, we had our Bible studies at home, we had church in the house. So it was that's just what we did. We got up in the morning time for prayer. We would go singing worship songs throughout the day, just randomly. One person might just sing one part of the song, and the rest of us is all singing together. Like, it's just
And it still
normal.
do that today.
Yeah, like, it's just normal for us. But I will say that it definitely shaped us.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is like the reason why I am strong on my faith today, even throughout life of not always being consistent with serving God. But when I did choose to like really put God first, is like that was the foundation that I had. I was able to go back and be like, well, I remember reading the Bible. So one thing for sure, no one could tell me that God wasn't real. When I had a friend say that they believe in Jesus and they don't want to go to church, I'm like, what you mean? Like, to me, that was weird. Like,
Even though you were out in the world doing some of the things they were doing. Yeah.
I used to take my friends, we would go clubbing on Saturday and go to church on Sunday. Like, what you talking about? Like, I don't look like that now, but at that time, it was just like, I didn't know anything else besides that. And to not even have that part of my life, it would be weird to not include it. So yeah, it definitely was the foundation, I feel like, of where I am today, for sure. Yeah, like, I remember having to come home and read our Bible after school.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That's all I do know is that was our normal. And for me being a little older and like I said, venturing off and doing other things, not having that as a regular thing, it made me feel like something missing, something not right. Like I kind of would feel like, I don't like this. I need to go to church. Like it didn't fit right with me to like not live that way. Like it just felt like, yeah, it didn't feel right. So,
Yeah. So Malachi, let me come to you. So I want you to share any of your memories. Do you have any memories? I know for you, you probably don't, of Daddy. What are your memories of your father?
Only dreams that I've had.
Yeah, that's how it really.
I was like 3.
Yeah. So.
You know, let me put it to you. See for you, I think I would have to ask this question a little bit different, right? Because we pretty much, I don't know if I would say we tried to shelter you either from Daddy's death, right? We didn't want you to really know. But when Daddy was murdered, you didn't quite understand it because you was only, 3, right? So, but just for you, I would say what it was like. Let me ask you this. What memories do you have of Daddy? Do you have any?
Only the dreams that I've had.
Okay.
Like when I reflect on the dream that I had, I realize now that it was that child of me, version of me, coping with his death.
Okay.
In the dream, it was that he basically disappeared, and then what remained was a skeleton. And
Wow.
I saw that, and it scared me, and I closed the door in the dream. And when I closed the door, I never saw it again. So
Wow.
I'm guessing that was how I coped as a child to him not being there, and then understanding that he was dead.
Well, then my question is that it just came to me, like, so I want to know then how did you feel as a person that you don't know this person that everybody is grieving over, so you really never knew him. How did that feel, like in that space of you see everybody grieving over? Well, clearly it was your father, but like you never really knew him. So how did you feel in that space there, like the person that you're like, who I don't really know this man and child are grieving over,
talking
but
about
like,
all sharing
he's clearly our dad,
all grieving
but
over.
it's like how did that
It
feel?
was just like it was more from hearing all the stories about him. It just made me go, man, like I would love to know him. Like that was really it. Really, it was like, dang, I wish I at least have known him at the least before he gone. I had something to remember him by. And from what I've gathered, really, it was just like what I have to remember by is things that I've done myself. Because I'm always constantly being told by my mom, oh wow, your dad does that. And I'm like, really? I didn't know that because I don't have any memories of him. Yeah. But, oh, your dad drinks juice like that. And I'm like, he does? That's weird.
But isn't that awesome? I think that is amazing when you could see your children, when you could see yourself in your kids, especially the good things or the funny things. But see, the thing that you didn't know is that when your dad would come in from work every day, you would greet him at the door. He would always put you on his back and wrestle with you on the ground. He would do you the same way like he would do them, rub his beard in which y'all hated. But with you and him, you greeted him faithfully every day at that door when he came in from work. Every day, and he would wrestle with you on the ground, put you on his back, all of that kind of stuff. So I think those things is where I think that it would be good, like build those memories that you can say, I have something. I wasn't the person, but I'm being told. So that is also helping you to create the memory of something good of your father. So you don't feel like you were left out. You know what I mean? So Jude, I want to get to you. So what are your memories of your dad? And what was it like learning that your father was murdered?
I think for me, the only vivid memory I have, I actually shared this with you before, but the only vivid memory I have was when like he used to fight with Shamar, play fight with Shamar, with his swords and stuff like that. They would play and doing martial arts and stuff together. I vividly remember that they would be in the living room and doing a little martial arts sparring and stuff. Yeah. I remember that. And I actually, when you mentioned the whole thing when he used to kiss us with his beard, I actually remember that. Like, I remember the feeling of, like, his prickly beard on our face. Like, I remember that. Like, when you said that, it just sparked in my head. Like, I remember that. But other than that, I don't have any other, like, vivid memories of him that I can really, like, recall, now. But, like, I do remember, like, just the heaviness that was around, like, the atmosphere of heaviness in the house, when we learned that he had died. Like, I remember the feeling of just, everybody's emotions, I feel like, at the time. Like, although as a child I didn't really understand what was going on, but I could see, in everybody that, that it was something tragic had happened. And so, honestly, I was jealous of my older siblings when I was a child. I dealt with a lot of jealousy when I was a child because I was just like, why is it that I wasn't able to know him? Like they knew him, like Michelle and Shamar and Michael. I used to really be like, wow, like, they got to know him in a much more, like, deeper way than we really ever got to experience him. So when I was younger, I used to, like, I used to deal with that a lot.
It's my first time hearing this.
Yeah.
Me too. That's why I'm like, well, okay.
I used to deal with that a lot. It's just, like, I don't know. I feel like something that I just don't be thinking about, I guess. But it's like, I was just thinking, like, yeah, I used to deal with that a lot. And, like, I used to listen to, like, I don't know. I feel like at that time I was dealing with a strong spirit of, like, loneliness and stuff, it was just, I feel like it was really demonic, but it was weird because obviously I didn't really know Daddy like that, but it was just like this spirit of loneliness came in through, like, I don't know, the realizing that I lacked a father, I guess. And so I would listen to Akon, Lonely.
No.
I'm dead serious. On repeat and would just cry. Like, I don't know why I would do this. I would just put it on and I would cry. Like, and I asked Janae, because she had this little, like, one of those little phones. No, like the little phones, the little BlackBerry phones or whatever. And she had it on there, like the song downloaded on the phone. And that she had gave me the phone. She ended up getting a new phone or something like that. And she gave me the phone. And I used to replay this all the time. The Lonely song, and would sing this song and cry. Or I would listen to Dance with My Father again. And I would listen to that and I would cry. And it's like, the thing that was crazy is, like, I guess like just it was something within me that, was yearning for, a father. That was yearning for a father. So it's like, even though I didn't really know what I was actually missing, but, like, it was something within me that it was like, I knew that was lacking, you know what I'm saying? And so I would just cry over things like that, like I would just play music like that and cry. Or even, crazy thing is watching Shrek. I would watch Shrek. And it was just a scene that had nothing to do with God, a scene nothing to do with Dad.
Hallelujah.
That song.
Hallelujah comes on in Shrek.
And I would just cry.
Her and Kai both started crying.
Yeah.
And Kai just like,
Kai was crying over Maurice.
And I
was crying over
and I'm like, I was looking at both of them like,
Malachi,
I've never heard of this.
I would just cry.
I'm just like,
Over any song, any, like, sad song I would hear. It was like I would just be reminded of Daddy and I would just cry. And I don't know, it was just this something within me that would cry for him, even though I didn't really have actual memories of, like, him that much. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Wow, a lot of stuff I didn't even know. But see, this is the purpose for this. It's the surface emotions and feelings that you didn't even think about, or you didn't even realize that was there, or striking up memories of, so that, because a lot of times when we bury stuff, we can't heal. But when you surface it, and you add a more mature place, you know how to decipher through it. You know how to, you know what I mean, and to be able to say it's okay. You know what I mean, and move on with life, and that allows you. That way, you don't got to worry about, why when I hear this, it makes me feel like this. You don't have to worry about they call them triggers, and you don't have to worry about that. So this is good because things are surfacing that we didn't even know nothing about. Wow, dude, stuff we have hidden. I'm just joking. Anywho, so Nicole, the same question for you, to share your memories of your father, and what was it like when you learned of him being murdered?
And memories of Dad. I remember living in South Philly. I don't know. I remember living in South Philly. I remember I think I was telling you the other day, I said, I remember us getting into a limousine. And I
Yes.
don't remember whose limousine it was. But I remember getting in a limousine.
It was a
and you
friend.
told me,
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me because Daddy was the driver or whatever. I don't remember him actually being the driver. I just remember the limousine. So
Yeah.
when you correlate that, I'm like, okay, so that's something that was connected.
Well,
to my
it's
dad,
because
but I
of
didn't know.
the company that he worked for.
Yeah.
They had a limousine and they allowed Daddy to use it because he worked for them. Yeah.
Yeah, so like.
And he used to come pick us up. Yeah.
I remember when we moved to Maryland. I remember like when Dad would come home and like put us on his back and do push-ups with us, like you said, like when he would kiss us and you know, remember that filling up his beard being prickly and stuff, and like I don't really like it, but like Daddy would do it being funny and stuff. Like those are like very vivid in my head. I remember when we went to Wildwood.
Yeah.
I'm like, we never was a thing that like vacation, but like I remember that. Like that is one thing I'm like, I wish we vacation more often. I know growing up with a bunch of kids, it was not easy to, you know, to afford vacations, but I remember when we went to Wildwood.
For that weekend, we stayed the whole weekend.
I don't remember how long it was.
We were there for a weekend.
We
stayed at a bungalow.
I remember vividly, we were outside at the beach, and I want to say it was dark. It was like nighttime outside, or like at least the sun was going down. It may not have been fully dark outside, but it was like towards the end of the day. And I remember Daddy holding Jubilee, and I was in the sand, and the water was coming up, and I remember him holding Jubilee or picking her up at something like that, because the water was coming up towards us, and I remember being kind of scared of the water coming up towards me. But I remember that like very vividly of us being in Wildwood and that happening. I remember the 2 beds in the room that we stayed in, whatever we stayed in. Like I could like those things I have very vivid in my mind. Once we moved to Maryland, though, I remember when Daddy would drive us to school. One time he was driving with no hands, and he was rubbing like Vaseline on his face, I think, on his hands or something.
And he would hold it with his knee.
He had it with his knee, and he's just and I'm really like, isn't that crazy? Like, but it was like he was like so cool to everybody. Like all of our, I think it was even was any of our friends in the car with us when that happened? I don't remember, but I remember like he was cool to even our friends. Like he was just like the cool guy. Like he was the cool dad. He was the cool guy. Yeah, I remember him taking us to church. I remember our car, like I was talking about the van that we had with the back of it was lay flat and had the curtains on the windows.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
those things. Like, I remember when Malachi had came home from the hospital and he got locked in the car.
That's horrible. Why do you remember that? That was horrible.
Like I'm just like these are like the memories I have when Daddy was alive.
I freaked out. I was losing it.
I know he was alive during those times.
Then when Malachi walked off into the woods, oh my God, that was after Daddy's death. Actually, when he did that, that was crazy.
When I drove that was Kai. I was in the passenger.
But during the time of Daddy being alive, I feel like I thank God for the memories that I do have. I remember we did our hair. It was a mess. It was. I remember just like this is crazy. Our hair was just gel all over our forehead. The puff was barely together. But like, I remember those things. The one thing I will say, I know that Daddy was someone who was big on education. He was big on faith.
Very big.
He was big on, us treating each other well. Like he was really, a provider, a family man, a leader. Like, I remember those things. Learning that he was dead, once I learned that he was dead, I don't know, I feel like, looking back to it now, I remember when I went to school, and all the, kids, the teachers and kids in the school were just like, giving their condolences, and just like being super nice, and like, and I kind of was just like, not sad. I remember not feeling sad, but like, everybody around me was so sad. Like, I remember one time sitting down at the lunch table, and this is right after Daddy died, and we finally went back to school, and sitting around at the lunch table, and some of the girls and friends that I had, they was like, I think one of them was even crying, and I'm just like y'all crying more than I did. It's just like, it was like, I don't know, I didn't feel the sadness. I don't know what age I really I guess really felt sad about him being gone, but I don't know. I didn't. It's like I hear about how everybody else, like Jenny was saying, how she wasn't sad because she was thinking that he was gonna come back. I don't know. When I think about my memory of that, I don't know if I actually was like, oh, Daddy's gonna come back. I think I believed, yeah, it's possible, but I don't remember the shift of like, oh, this is never happening, and me being upset about it. It was just like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that emotion of like, I don't know. I feel like I didn't really feel too much crazy like grief, like yeah. Like I said, I remember being in school and everybody else being sad and me not really feeling sad. I remember his funeral and not really crying at his funeral. And his funeral just felt like
a celebration.
A celebration. There was so many people there.
A lot of people thought we would like, oh Lord, what in the world? They was like, we'd never been to a funeral like this before.
Yeah.
But if y'all remember, God gave Michelle a dream. And in the dream, this is before Daddy died. She had a dream that Daddy had died. And in the dream, there was a bunch of news media that was all in the house. And she said, but God in the dream, God let it be known in the dream that he wasn't going to allow us to grieve, like to be really sad over Daddy's death, that he was going to bring a spirit of peace in the time of this terrible situation, that he was going to bring peace. And that truly happened because we were trying to understand, like, why are we, even though we were hurt over his death, we were definitely grieving, but it wasn't, it was a peace that was there too, that we were going to be okay. And I remember that, and I remember how we were comforting everybody else.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. At 8 years old, I'm in 3rd grade, sitting at the lunch table, and I'm like telling all my friends, like, yeah, it's okay. Like, she never doing to me, but like, I was excited. I'm like, it's really okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm good. Like,
because they know Daddy. They knew Daddy at the school.
Yeah. Right. But people would ask me how was I, and I'm like, I'm okay. And teachers would ask me if I was good. Like, they would constantly check on me and like stuff like that. Like, I remember those things. I remember being in school at the lunch table and everybody just being super nice, wanting to make sure I'm good. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm confused why you're crying, but I'm fine. I think once I really like understood that he was gone, I still didn't feel this super like sadness really. I think now a little more, not really now, but like maybe once I was a little more older, I would like think about like, wow, these certain things wouldn't have happened if Daddy was alive. And that kind of where I get kind of that like sadness. Yeah. But like besides that, I don't know. I haven't really felt like this whole like super like sad grieving feeling. Mm-hmm. I know that I lost a father for sure. Like, and yeah, one thing I feel like is like sometimes I'll think back like, wow, these things would have been differently if I had a dad. Yeah. Or like if I see something where like a dad and their daughter together, I'm like, well, I know my dad would do stuff like that. Like, oh, she was around to do stuff like that for me type situation. But I don't know, it's not like this overwhelming sadness. It's kind of like, you kind of just like think on it like that. That's kind of sad, like situation. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that's God's peace. Yeah. And God's peace, we don't understand it. You know what I mean? When you feel like I should be, for some of us, the peace of God really consumed us because we allowed it. For some of us, we was dwelling too much. Instead of embracing the peace, we was dwelling on more than what we lost. And so for the older ones, and for me, I felt the peace, but also I felt the loss. I mean, I do remember like when Jubilee said that she could feel like the heaviness in the air. I remember that. I remember one time we was playing some worship song. And I believe Michelle was in the living room dancing with you or singing with you or something like that. I remember feeling like whatever song it was, I know if I hear it, I will remember it. Mm-hmm. But it was some worship song, and I remember that worship song. Like now, if I hear it now, it always takes me back to that memory of you and Michelle in the living room singing and dancing to this song. But it always makes me think of that sad like feeling I could feel in the atmosphere. Like I remember seeing you crying, and I remember seeing everyone else kind of like sad in a sense, but like, so that one song always brings me to that time. Me personally, I didn't feel it, but I could feel the heaviness. That people sat in the room with you, like, that we were going through that loss. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this question.
looking back and coming from a place of understanding and grace, is there anything, well, for you, I don't think as much that Malachi could have done
Read the whole
differently.
question.
Okay. Looking back, coming from a place of understanding and grace, is there anything now you would have wanted to, that you would want to have seen done differently to maintain the structure of our family?
Yeah. So what would he want to have seen? Even though now I'm just going back and thinking about everything
Yeah.
from his point of view, what is something that you think could have went differently or would have liked to have seen gone different?
My older siblings staying and actually helping more, and then instead of them like getting jobs and leaving, instead of getting jobs and helping mom with bills and the house, like that would have actually been helpful than them going, we're out of here. Like it would have just been, actually just a helpful thing to have done there. Like you're with your family, do you not want to help your family? Like that's how I felt then. I don't know what their mindset was at the time, but that's how I felt when they're all leaving. I was like, what's going on? Like it was one after another. Certain people stayed longer than others, but I know like Shamar stayed for a while, and like DJ was in and out. David was also in and out. I remember when Michelle, I feel like she stayed around longer too. But like Michael was probably one of the first ones out. Because he did get married, so. But yeah, honestly, I feel like that was probably the only answer I can really give. But I don't know, like 5.
You was 3.
I mean, yeah, in the beginning of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But then like, through when they started leaving and stuff.
Okay,
I was
you were about
around,
5, yeah.
6, 8, around there. It was around those ages when they started leaving off, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? If I could work, it's like,
Well, you did bust the tables and to make your
And,
little quarters and
Grandview,
stuff. Yeah.
I made $27. I
Specifically.
had a little mailbox.
I remember the little mailbox.
Yes.
I remember that. You
Not
Little
hiding
little
the windows.
So Jube, I want to ask you the same question. Looking back, coming from a place of understanding and grace, is there anything now that you would have wanted to see done differently to maintain the structure of our family?
I mean, I just wish that everybody would have just continued walking with God.
Yeah.
Like they didn't just walk, they didn't walk away from God, and because it's like, this is what we were raised in, and so it's like just because I feel like you see this everywhere though, like when you lose a significant other or a family member or whatever, they immediately like blame God when it's like, sin equals death. So I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, we all are going to die. And so it's like, you can't blame God for someone dying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just wish that they would have never walked away from God. Basically, that's my answer. I wish that they would not have walked away from God, that they would have continued to walk, through the grieving process with the Lord. Because I believe that they, would have came out, better people in the end, just more healed, I guess.
Yeah.
like
Earlier on, like to be in a more healed space
Yeah.
a lot sooner in life,
So let me ask y'all a question. Now, once a month, we made sure, well, I made sure that I always pulled y'all together no matter where y'all was at to come to have dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like that do you think that that was a good idea too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to start it up again.
Yeah.
I think we need to too. It's been the last time we
I
did
remember
it.
doing that. I remember.
The last time was at Aunt Nini's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time we did that was at Aunt Nini's house.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a small little something at Janae's before we went to.
Yeah, I remember coming to Janae's
Yeah.
house one time before.
No, while you
dinner.
was here, when we did the photo shoot and everything.
Yeah, I'm talking about when you would do like one Sunday out of the month and you would make a whole
Yeah.
dinner and everybody
Mhm.
and everybody would come over
Yeah.
and bring the kids and all that.
Yeah.
And everybody would come in. So
Yeah.
I do remember that.
I think that's important that we need to retrieve back to that. But Nicole, getting to you, looking back, coming from a place of understanding and grace, is there anything now you would have want to see to keep maintain the structure of our family?
I think kind of a mix of both of what Malachi and Jupe said. One, I would want to have seen my siblings more in faith and really uh, walking in the lifestyle that daddy had instilled in them to walk in. I feel like with them being older, y'all had more of that structure of the Christian structure and Christian culture. So I'm like, I feel like they should have kind of leaned more onto that than to veer away from it. I think that would have helped a lot because me being the person who interviewed everybody else and like going back and analyzing it, which I don't want to go into because I know what the next question is, but I think that would have been that to me is the biggest difference is the spiritual healing, the spiritual deliverance that did not take place because most of them had blamed God and had veered off from God and stuff like that. And I feel like if they actually held on to God and actually started to, cultivate their relationship more with God, they would be in a better place than what any therapy could do. Nothing to talk about on therapy. Therapy, I think, is definitely would have been needed too. But I think the therapy only can get you but so far. Self-healing only can get you but so far because we come from a source, a greater source and a creator. So if you want to fix the creation, you have to go to the maker.
Hey,
of the creation.
can I say that? Can I say that?
So if you're not going to the maker to heal you, to fix what's broken.
Wait a minute, y'all, give her the mic. She's preaching.
To fix what's broken, then you're still just going to keep trying to all you're doing is slapping a piece of tape over the broken glass. Like, it's not really, you know what I'm saying? That when that pottery breaks and all you're doing is slapping some tape around it and it just looks janky and you're like, well, it's there. Like, no. Like, you got to go back to that potter to start to remold it back together again.
There
like,
you go.
Know what I'm saying? So
she preaching, hallelujah.
That's something I wanted to see. Also, of course, from my memory, I remember Shamar doing a lot,
Shamar did a lot.
And part of me would want to see them.
Well, wait, we'll get to that because you got a response. Okay.
Part of me would want to have see them like stay longer and really help more, I guess. I do understand that they were grieving as much also and feeling how they were feeling themselves, but I feel like y'all knew Daddy and understanding who Daddy was. I feel, to me, in my mind, if I was older, I would have been like, I knew how my dad was, and I know how he was about family and about keeping us together. Like, I would have like, as much as I'm sad about him gone, I know I'm going to try to keep on what he already was teaching. Yeah. I want to keep pushing on what he was teaching. So to me, I'm like, how come y'all didn't do that? But, I get everybody was going through whatever they was going through, so I don't blame them for that. But it's like, I wish, if I could go back and, and change things, that's something I would want to have seen differently, like them really, walking in what was instilled in them from the beginning anyway. Therapy, I think, would have been good for us too, but I feel like the spiritual side really is the thing that I feel like could have held us together a little bit more. I know DJ kind of mentioned like the division from that, and that's where I see the spiritual part of it. Like the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and that's exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? Divide and conquer. He was able to divide our family, to conquer it, so now we are not as unified anymore. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you know that, I combat against that. I'm not going to allow the devil to come in to divide our family. You know what I'm saying? We're going to unify.
I put eviction notice on the enemy. Exactly. The chain breakers in the room.
And the only way to do that is not therapy. The way to do that is spiritual deliverance, spiritual healing, and saying, Lord God, these are things that's here. I see what's the spiritual
Y'all, we need
side.
to give her the mic. She preaching.
So, yes, you need therapy because I feel like that's going to help more on your whatever psychological part of being able to understand
the characteristic side.
Like, your more physical characteristic side, things, habits that need to be changed in a sense. But I feel like the core root of it is spiritual. So a therapist that don't understand that is not going to help you with that. Exactly. So, yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
She pretty much just answered. She listen.
You can go on to the next question.
Yeah, she answered the next question.
A little bit.
Sorry guys for the abrupt ending. Our camera had died. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll be coming out with another video next week. You guys can like, comment, and subscribe on this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, how you guys feel about the whole introduction series. Follow us on our social media at Guest Talk Podcast on everything: Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Audible, so you guys can also listen there. And yeah, in the description box, there are links for ways to give and donate to help us out so we can expand our podcast. So yeah, thanks for your guys' support. Thanks for watching.